Do you like basketball?
Mm-hmm.
I like, but I'm not good at. Yes, I'm not.
Me too.
Happening these days. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the State of the League podcast, the only NBA podcast where I'm recording my normal position again. My knee is good enough that I can sit with it bent on the edge of the couch. To be honest, my physical therapist was like, "You need to be bending this bitch more." So I said, "I got the perfect opportunity. I'm going to bend it for an hour and a half today while yapping about the NBA." I am your host, Jack, aka joestar. With me, as always, the world famous Pablo Escobar. Pablo, how you doing today?
It's a weird day. Jujutsu Kaisen announced ending in 5 chapters. There's
I don't
no
know what
way,
to think.
There's no chance that this story concludes in a satisfying way.
I mean,
Unless, you know what, they did say huge announcement coming the 25th or whatever. Jujutsu Kaisen, huge announcement. So it could be like Shippuden, but also 99% of huge announcements are we have a new popularity poll that we're going to take. So
which I would be upset at the Shippuden thing just because, like, you can't make a second Sukuna. Like, if you were to make a villain or an antagonist, I guess they could do the merger maybe, and that would be like, just in terms of like sheer scale, a bigger threat. But like, as far as a story antagonist goes, if you did invent somebody who like outdoes Sukuna, it removes all of the weight from like the entire first run of Jujutsu Kaisen. And so, yeah, there's just so many. Like, we'll never get, not even like the Hikari or the Hikari Uraume fight, which I want. I'm Hikari pilled, but like the Heian flashbacks, all of these different loose threads that like they could have gone somewhere or done something. We don't know shit about like what Tengen is as a human being at all, and we're never gonna get any of that. So I don't know. I guess if it ends and I feel like 70% happy, I'll consider that a W.
We're probably never even going to find out what Gojo was doing in that month. Like, very clearly, there was a lot of orchestrating and planning about strategies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess we've kind of found out, like, second-handed. Like, they were, like, he swapped bodies at one point with Yuji or something like that. But that's not enough for me. I would like some details.
Yeah. I don't know. Leave in the comments below after you've smashed that like button and subscribed and ring the bell. I was
buy
thinking
our merch. We don't have.
Yeah. when we drop merch, buy it. Come back to this episode, and we'll remind you right now.
We need to find an Indonesian factory first.
Yeah. I mean, fucking Gege's got a lot of free time now. Maybe he could just start instead of half-assing a story, he could half-ass our merch, baby. No,
hey,
I think
I bet the collars will be terrible. The joke being the last part of the shirt, and he fails at it.
I was thinking we could do a Jujutsu Kaisen funeral episode if people wanted it. I don't know how much of the YouTube audience is locked into anime like that. I know the Patreon people would probably fuck with it, and I guess that's the only people I really care about as far as opinions go. But
there's a lot of people who comment like they keep up with it solely through hearing us. Like, we haven't talked about it in a little while, but it's just solely hearing. Did you see the spoilers? Yeah, can't believe that app.
Which sucks because like I got a comment today that was like, every day I get more and more reasons not to watch Jujutsu Kaisen, and I was like, watch, it's good, it's fun. Like, if I had known going into it all of this was gonna happen, and like, I mean, we don't know how it's gonna end. It could end great, I guess, but if I had known going in, I'd be disappointed by the ending, but I would still get the character of Gojo out of the deal. I'm watching it 10 times out of 10. Like, that's no brainer for me.
It's still got the one of the highest peaks of any series ever.
And we haven't, dude, Sukuna versus Gojo animated, like, that will be insane.
That's probably the best fight in anime and manga history. And I say that as a guy, that's the only kinds I watch. There's no One Piece fight that's going to top that. There's no Naruto fight. That's the goat fight.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. Oh shit, it's starting to rain outside. So yeah, that's a little sad. Ends in 5 chapters. I really don't even, and it doesn't feel like we're that close to the Sukuna Yuji fight being over. So it feels like most of the 5 will still just be this fight. Like I don't think it's that much is going to be dedicated to literally any other storyline. So I don't know how to feel.
Remember, like a month ago when he released a chapter with 6 pages? He's like, "Oh yeah, I got sick." how do we have enough time?
Yeah. Was that the chapter? Was that Maki versus Sukuna? Because I remember Maki Sukuna, their like one-on-one fight. It was just like scribbles the entire time because he was like cramming it in at the deadline.
No, it was. I'll try to avoid spoilers on it. It was Utah.
Oh shit. Okay, I forgot about that.
Something huge happened,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Actually, that's over."
Yuta was like, Rika, help, and then she helped. That was crazy. I forgot about that one. I was like, oh shit. All right. So I have 2 bullet points, and then we can get into our the main meal of this episode, the underrated players draft. First one, Guerschon Yabusele signs with the Sixers.
Oh yeah, him and Embiid can talk French to each other.
I mean, if we're going off of Embiid's public comments, he probably doesn't want to talk French.
Oh, that's true. But he was at odds with France at that time. Now it's over because he conquered them. He came, he saw, he conquered. Yeah, we'll see how he does in the NBA. I don't know what he's shot from 3. His most.
I saw a
in
tweet
his
about
French
it.
Career
46% last season from 3, and he's 41% since he left the NBA. Pretty much like 4 or 5 years of being a 40% 3-point shooter in Europe. So
Do you know
there's
the
definitely
volume?
like I can't imagine it was huge volume, but I don't know off the top of my head.
But yeah, that's beefy power forward who can dunk on LeBron and make threes.
Oh, and that's good. Because Philly definitely had a little bit of a lack of size at the 4, and so
Yeah.
if he can settle into that role and even just be a contributor, they don't need him to be a 45% 3-point shooter, but if he could be a survivable offensive guy while providing the size that he does, that'd be good.
Yeah, he's definitely an interesting piece for them. I wonder, is that the best team he could have gone to? It's probably, it feels like it might be up there because they just really needed someone like that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head who else really like needs a power forward's kind of a dying position. It's very strange. So there's really
I feel like some people would be like, OKC, get some meat in there. I wonder how his rebounding is.
I don't know. It didn't blow me away in the Olympics. Like he was just scoring everything, so he didn't have to rebound. But
They had those tall guys to rebound.
Wemby, get my fucking board, dude. Holy shit. I missed the layup. Damn it. And then Zion is skinny. That was my other bullet point I wrote down.
Yeah.
We're fucking here, baby. JJK's ending. Who cares? We're getting real life anime next season. Who is Zion? Is he Gojo? I don't know about that, but he's somebody cool.
Zion is better than Anthony Edwards. It's better than Jason Tatum. It's better than, who else can I say?
Anthony Edwards is a pretty hot take. Tatum's not, just because of the way the stocks are going.
I'm going as high as possible. I'm not going to Luka. Who's after Luka?
Well, after Luka, we're like Embiid level.
No, Embiid still, but who's after?
Okay. I think in our season ranking, I said maybe who is there? Like Steph? Is that Steph, LeBron, KD territory? After
All right,
top
Zion's
4,
better
top 5?
than all the old dogs. Screw it.
Nice. New era. The future is now, old man. It's Zion's time.
LeBum couldn't beat the Pelicans till Zion got hurt.
Hmm?
Oh,
Pelicans,
we forgot.
You could put him over Ja. That was like the draft class kind of comparison.
You have to issue a public apology to Mambalytics.
Oh. Oh, I am sorry, 8/24 Mombalytics, for stealing your graphic and posting it wholeheartedly, unironically online. I firmly believe that if you don't count layups, Kobe Bryant is a better scorer than LeBron James. And that's a big reason for what separates them all time, in my opinion.
Guys, please go follow 8/24 Mombalytics. This guy's putting out a lot of great content, a lot of great Kobe content, a lot of great lytics content. Not analytics, but Mombalytics.
Yeah,
So
Mombalytics.
he's debunking the
And
haters.
some people might be like, what is Mombalytics? Mombalytics is like, okay, I found this clip that where LeBron missed a layup, and then I found 8 clips where Kobe Bryant hit a really difficult jump shot. That 8 is more than one. Like, this is the stuff that adds up to Kobe being better. These are the intangibles. That's Mombalytics.
This guy is like, yeah, this guy's a hog. This guy's awesome. This guy is.
They don't make guys like this anymore.
They're reserved for politics. Like, they're plenty. All the guys like this moved to politics, but we've lost. Yeah, it's a lost art. He's pumping out prime 2009 Facebook content. It's incredible, and
It's
he's
weird.
52.
Yeah, he's 50. Shout out to that guy. He's 52. Shout out to Social Security. I hope it's still around when I get up there. When do you get access to that? At 60?
No, I would bet. I feel like they keep pushing it back. They're like, actually, you get it at 65. Actually, you get it.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Shout out to Mombalytics. It's just weird. It's weird to think about, like, Kobe is really the last player in the NBA that we've seen who you need to talk like that about to put him into the conversations that people want him to be in. It's very strange because, like, even with Steph or Kevin Durant, you don't get, like, people want, especially Steph, people want Steph to be as high as possible. He's got a huge fan base of very ravenous people. But, like, just this sheer, like altering reality, just changing the way that the world is so that your argument makes more sense. It's a very lost art.
I mean, you call it altering reality. I call it Mombalytics. This shit, because LeBron is not better than Kobe just because if you take away the layups, he's not.
I cannot believe how many people thought I was being like that. Like, I got 100 comments that were like, "You're a fucking moron who should die," and I was like, "Dude, I mean, whatever. I guess I should have layered on the irony a little bit more. I just thought the phrase 'without layups' kind of set it up for people to, I don't know, whatever. Shout out to that guy. Shout out to his content. Filling a very important role in the ecosystem that I don't know. I don't know how much longer guys like that will really be around.
Well,
it's the LaMarcus Aldridge of Twitter.
Hopefully, like 30 years. Hopefully, we got how. I don't know. I would have to see his family lineage, but I'm hoping we get 30.
Yeah, I'm 30. That'd be cool. 82. Yeah, right on. All right.
Oh, that's he could go out at 81.
Oh, I'm sure he'd be cool with that. All right. So let me get a timestamp in this bitch. Timestamps. What are we at?
I'm 81, minutes? And Kobe's 81 is the greatest performance I've ever seen.
He gets to go out like I don't know, maybe 30 years. We're talking maybe euthanasia's legal at that point. So 8/24.
Oh, in a Kobe pod, that'd be epic.
Yeah, like 8/24. In 30 years, that'll be what, 54? Okay, so you could work in the 54 somewhere. Like, maybe
if he was a real Kobe stan, he would go out the same way.
Okay, all right. On that note, I'm just gonna keep moving. At that point, 14 minutes in, we are doing a draft of the most underrated players in the NBA. Let me see. Let me flip a coin. You call it.
Let's do a snake draft. So whoever gets the second pick also gets the third pick.
Okay.
And you know what? I bet I have one guy. I have one number one contender. I think you won't take him. I'm thinking this is my guy. I'm thinking you won't take him.
You want him at number one?
I think he's the best option. No, I want you to go number one. I want you to go number one.
Well, just call the coin. Call the coin.
Tails.
It's tails. Good job.
Do I get to pick?
You could defer if you want.
I defer. You get number 1 pick. That's how
Okay.
confident I am.
I'll take Trae Young.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we should discuss Trae Young. So I consider Trae Young. He didn't make my list, just because.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because at this point, I do think the reason that a lot of people hold him back, I do think it is valid until he does more in the playoffs. Because coming off the Knicks run, coming off that run, there was really not much you could say. He's still one of the most dominant regular season players. Having Trae Young on your team is like a top 5 offense. But the Miami series was horrible. The Boston series was oof. It was up and down. There were good moments and bad moments, but
I would counter both of those with both of those teams are really well equipped to guard him, and I just think there wasn't like that much offensive help. And there's a lot of valid questions about like how productive he is without the ball in his hands, and so what offensive help, quote unquote, looks like for him is kind of confusing at this point. But from any one of those perspectives, I don't think the Hawks were doing a ton to alleviate like the defensive pressure that Miami and Boston were throwing at him.
Yeah, it's just for me. It's like if he is the guy that I want him to be so badly, like because he's a disaster on defense. Like even though defense player of the year Trae Young.
Wow, I was gonna say you're abandoning the bit. That's kind of crazy, dude.
The defense player of the year Trae Young. But still, he's always gonna be a massive liability in the playoffs. So he has to be like one of the like a top 5 offensive player in the playoffs to make up for it. But like. Miami did have good personnel. Boston had good personnel, but like, what team isn't? What's like the ideal path for him? Who's in the playoffs when you get deeper? Who's not going to have the resources to guard him? Because like at some point he's got to generate easy shots in the playoffs, and I just don't know if he's been able to do that.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Part of me is just like, it's not so much that there's a pathway through where he's not going to run into a team that has good perimeter defenders. It's more so that the tools for him to counteract those defenders haven't really been there. I think specifically when you look at like how he would pair with a lob threat big man who could set good screens and run the pick and roll with him, Clint Capella. Even back in the Knicks run, Clint Capella was already kind of like offensively, and now he is a disaster to the point where any team worth its salt defensively is just totally okay with like throwing one guy at him and just blitzing Trae and making his life very difficult. And then simultaneously, as far as like, I don't know, other on-ball creators or floor spacing, nothing really like leaps out to me in Atlanta. Obviously, you have the DeJounte Murray piece. I think he's good, but I think that was a miss fit-wise. And then beyond that, you have like Bogdanovic, who is good. We just saw him in Serbia. He was one of the better 6 men last year, but it still doesn't feel like if that's like your second, third best guy, we're ready to fucking give Boston hell.
My problem is Bogdanovic is good. Like I think he's really good when you give him the leash to be good, but Trae Young never gives him the leash. And like the secondary ball handling is a problem. Like all the pressure's on him, but he's also putting all the pressure on himself. Like he just frustrates me because he takes so many bad jumpers in the playoffs. And like even if you surrounded him with a great offensive cast of guys, like you got to wonder like how much is he actually. Obviously the lob stuff, like when John Collins and Capella were right, it was just like Hail Marys constantly. But like,
and that also helps because one of his most productive shots is the floater, and so when you get a team that synergizes up to where he can either shoot the floater or throw the lob, and both of those looks are something that the whole team can constantly generate, that's a setting where he can really succeed. That has not super been there, but I agree, especially the point about giving Bogdanovich the leash. DeJounte Murray was way better about that last year.
Yeah, and there were times like during that original run that other people were popping off. Like that's when Kevin Huerter was popping off, and Kevin Huerter could do a little bit on the ball too, but that was never really realized. Like that should have been a big component of their offense, because you have this other elite shooter who can also do some stuff on ball, but you just kind of like take up all the space. And so I love Trae Young. I want him to be a superstar offensive player and to be a guy you can be confident in as the best offensive player on your championship team. But I need to see more, because for him to be, because I think he's definitely underrated in terms of people who like don't think he should be an all-star or stuff like that.
And that's the angle I was approaching this from.
Yeah, from that angle for sure. Like there's too many people who don't recognize that Trae Young on your team is like a near top 5 offense when he's on the court. But for all the people who are like, no, you can't win a championship with Trae Young as your guy, like right now they're up. Like it's like I said at the beginning of last year, like all the people who were like Halliburton over Trae before this year, I was like, no way. But then I'm like, right now
they're up.
You're up. So I gotta hang back.
Yeah, I guess my response to that would be, I in my heart believe that more people are of the first camp, the Trae Young is such a disaster offensively, doesn't make any of his teammates better, blah, blah, blah. He is at the center of why the Hawks are consistently a mid-team. And he's not like uplifting them from being a 30-win team or something. I feel like there are more people in that camp than there are in the camp of like, what does his ceiling look like? Can you win a title with him? I think that's a reasonable critique. I just feel like it's not one I see as often in like Trae Young discussion circles.
All right.
So I'll shift it to you for pick number 2. And you want to do the snake draft? I'm cool with that.
Yeah, we'll do snake. Actually, you know what? I don't think we're competing for each other's guys. So now that I think about it, we won't do snake. We'll just go back to that.
All right, that's fine.
So my number 2 pick, guess who it is?
I don't want to guess because I'm going to give away my picks. So
okay. Desmond Bane. Is he on your list?
Okay. All right. He was here for me, but he was not who I would have gone.
I think Desmond Bane is the most underrated player in the NBA, because I was thinking, I think he is like as good as Derek White and Drew Holiday. Like I think he could have seamlessly fit on this Team USA team. Like it would have been valid to throw him on the roster. He's not as good defensively as those guys, but he's a great defensive player. He's been an elite shooter every single year of his career. He's been.
I'm just looking at his numbers now. 9 attempts per game, 38% from 3 this year, and a ton of that is on ball. That's crazy.
And yeah, this past year is like a nightmare context, like in and out, like no one's healthy at the same time. The Grizzlies are just a disaster all year long, and his numbers are still fantastic. And so you have a guard who can be on and off ball, because he's a good passer too. He can run pick and rolls. He's a elite shooter. He can do it on and off the dribble. And then a good team defender. If Desmond Bane had a plus wingspan, we'd be in trouble. But yeah, now that Ja's coming back, I feel like there's realistic all-star potential for Desmond Bane going forward the next few years. Like I think he's a legit all-star level talent, and yeah, I think that him and Ja, that backcourt's crazy. So I'm going Desmond Bane, and I think a lot of people. I think if you ask people, they'd be like, Desmond Bane's pretty good, but I don't know if they would think he's an all-star. I think he's an all-star.
Okay, I don't have a zag on Desmond Bane. I also think he's really good. He was probably like 3rd for me, because I have 3 tiers. I have a tier of stars, I have a tier of good players that I think could make a leap in a year or two, and then I have a role players tier. And Desmond Bain is in my stars tier. I think he's really, really good as well. Pretty much, I mean, yeah, like you mentioned it, there is not many people. He's probably the worst in the NBA in terms of how his wingspan affects his perception. I don't know. It just feels like it brutalizes people's idea of him on both ends of the floor. Just like as a defender, a lot of people think he can't be that impactful, even though he's super quick laterally. He's very smart. He's proven that he can play off Jaren Jackson Jr. super well. And then offensively, yeah, we saw it this year. I have his numbers right here. He was what? 24, 6, and 4 on 59% true shooting with 2.7 turnovers a game on a Memphis team that I think they rostered the most players in the NBA. They ran through like 32, 33 guys, something
I
like
think they
that.
broke the record, right? I think 2 teams broke the record. That meant someone else. I forget who
Yeah.
the other one.
That sounds familiar. So yeah, fuck it. They did break the record. I don't care. I'm Mambolytic. I'm altering reality, baby. Yeah. So
Oh,
Desmond Bain.
they definitely were one of them because once Brandon Clark came back, I think that's who broke the record.
Oh, okay. Right on. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I guess I don't know. I guess the guy that I would have taken over him is I just like I like the defense more. I feel like he is maybe a better player, or maybe he's higher on the ladder on a title contender. I think Desmond Bain, I would comfortably have him as like the third best player. And this guy also probably would slot into that, but maybe there's a world where he gets to like the second best player if everything is perfectly in place for him. Are you cool moving on from Bain, or do you have any final thoughts?
No, I'm cool moving on. I want to guess who this is. Is this Eastern or Western Conference?
Eastern. And I'll redact the second best on a championship team type ceiling. Just because now that I've like said that out loud and I'm running through like all that would entail, it'd be really difficult. He would have to take a big step forward on one end of the floor. But he's so good. And I think he's just right there with Desmond Bain. Do you have a guess?
Are you gonna say Franz?
No, I'm gonna say Jared Allen.
Oh, okay. Curious.
Yeah.
Curious.
Jared Allen. I mean, we've on this program, I don't think he is underrated. I feel like we spread the gospel of Jared Allen pretty routinely, especially I think we probably peaked right around when Mobley came back and shit with the Cavs started to get a little bit dicey, like they had been on that really sick run, and then everybody comes back together and it's like, the ceiling, we didn't just add another all-league defender and Darius Garland back to this lineup in terms of how the team is looking. Like, we just got worse. And so I think Jared Allen proved in that run that the Cavs had, he was, I don't have the numbers here. I want to say like 19, 11, and 4 on really good efficiency while essentially anchoring like a top 3 defense with, I mean, the Cavs have defensive tools around them. Shout out to, I always mispronounce it. It's Okoro, right?
Yeah.
Okay, shout out to Okoro. Shout out to Sam Merrill. Shout out to the whole fucking team. Shout out to Dean Wade. Shout out to everybody.
Shout out to all those little shooting white boys they got.
Yeah, and shout out to Donovan Mitchell. Way more bought in Cleveland than he was in Utah, despite Gobert probably being like a better floor raiser regular season defender than Allen, whatever you want to say. I just think Allen, one of the best defenders in the NBA. One of the like more reliable offensive bigs. Once you get out of the Jokic, Giannis, Embiid tier into like Miles Turner territory, I feel like Jared Allen is one of the best lob threats in the entire NBA. And then he's also a really, really good supplementary playmaker from the big man position. He's one of the best passing bigs in the league, even though he was only like 2.5, 3 assists this year. His volume wasn't crazy because Mobley's also really good at all that shit. But yeah, I like him a lot. I'm taking Jared Allen too.
Jared Allen. He he never gets thrown in that big man tier, even though the results of his teams probably suggest that he should be. Like when we were talking about the best defenders, like the Bam, the Jaren Jackson, the Anthony Davis, and all those guys. Like he's never quite thrown in there, even though he probably should be, just purely defensively. I think that series against the Knicks kind of tarnished his reputation. And he is smaller than everyone thinks. Like he's 6'9", which is crazy.
Yeah,
I didn't
it's
know
the fro.
yeah, the fro and the arms. He's the anti Desmond Bain. Oh, I forgot to say Desmond Bain is the only negative wingspan guy who's jacked. So like that makes it worse. I think than like Tyler Hero and JJ Redick. But yeah, Jared Allen is fantastic. It's just like, yeah, they just have him and Mobley. They don't fit, but they're running it back. They're running it back.
Yeah,
So.
no, and so that's like with the Bane pick, I could see in a year everybody's tune completely changing on Desmond Bane and being like, like, why weren't we talking about this guy more? Blah blah. I do not think that's going to happen with Jared Allen in Cleveland.
We might have to buy the dip.
Like, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. They got a new head coach and everything. They are literally running it back. Like all of the trade rumors that were bubbling up have completely disappeared, despite there being a lot of friction in both the front court and the back court. I don't really like either of those fits. So yeah, I also think Allen is like underrated in terms of like the Hartenstein push shot and like mid-range jumpers a little bit. I don't know what he shoots on them, but when I watched the Cavs this year, I felt more comfortable like Allen would get pushed out to the mid-range so that Mobley, who is worse at that kind of stuff, despite like the three-point spike towards the end of the year, Mobley was trying to work more at the rim. Allen ended up getting pushed out to the mid-range, and I felt like he was more reliable. That recipe was more reliable for Cleveland's offensive production than vice versa. Allen trying to dunk the ball and Mobley doing his best to hit floaters and shit.
Yeah, I hope he's freed soon. He's got a lot going on. He's got everything for a rim protecting lob. He's a rim protecting lob threat, short roll passing, little bit scoring. You're the rim guy. Like free him.
Dude, imagine him next to Trey.
That'd be pretty epic.
That would be epic.
To trade Rizichet for him.
Oh, okay. I like it.
They don't want Rizichet.
Oh man. All right, you're up. Who do you got?
All right, let's go to my
fourth overall.
Go to my note. Is this my second guy?
Yeah, this is your second pick.
Okay. Well, I'll take this guy because you might take him.
All right.
We talk about him all the time. Deni Avdija.
Okay, right on.
He's so underrated. His own team didn't even know how good he was. They traded him.
Hey, the Bub Carrington ascendance, baby. That's all I'll say. We're gonna harp on the return for Denny Brogdon. We're getting a second rounder back for that, and then the Bub Carrington dominance this season.
You don't know Bub. So Denny, he's what everyone wanted Ben Simmons to be. 6'10", super fast, super good defender. He could defend on the ball. He could do some weak side rim protection. Good passer. Did I say he's fast already? That's how fast he is.
You know what his nickname is?
What?
It's Turbo.
Is this on Basketball Reference?
It probably is. Let me look it up. But I definitely know that from Wizards games. He would like get a dunk or an and one or something, and it's on Basketball Reference, and the announcer would go Turbo, and then they have like sound bites they play when players do cool shit, like unique to the player, and his sound bite was run that back, Turbo.
Honestly, not that good a nickname. Like
no, I mean it's kind of mid in terms of like the fastest thing you could think of,
and not one that anyone knows who has not been to a Wizards.
Yeah, I mean me and the 8 other people at the Wizards games were like, "Oh, run that back, Turbo!"
You're shouting aloud with the speaker. But yeah, and then his yeah, and like you said, dunking on people. He's a good athlete. The big weakness was shooting. But even then, that's like ticked up steadily. So was he 40% this year on low volume, or was he near 40%?
37% on 3.1 attempts,
That's a
which I'm
big deal for
comfortable with.
Denny.
He was like 30% for the first 3 years of his career.
So this is a guy, like, I think he's genuinely good enough to like start on a championship level team. Like he just does so many things. He's kind of like Franz-ish. Like what people, well, he's like if Franz's offense had never quite rebounds. But he can do so much. So I'm Denny pilled.
Yeah, I'm the Israeli super soldier. I'm Denny pilled as well. Excuse me, everybody. God damn, I have fucking heartburn. Now here, I'm a little The other two people left in my star tier, I don't know if I would qualify as underrated. So I'll just say their names. Because if you're going Denny, I don't think these guys are still on the board.
I don't have any stars written down.
Yeah, I did write down Scotty Barnes and Chet Holmgren. Chet specifically because of like the dynamic with him, not just with him and Wemby, but with him and how Jalen Williams exploded offensively last season. It feels like a lot of the stuff that Chet did to raise the floor of Oklahoma City. They were winning so many games. I mean, great offensive team. J-Dub is a great offensive and defensive player, but the way Holmgren was anchoring their defense was just, it was crazy for a 21-year-old. And the only reason that wasn't like the headline is because Victor Wembanyama was playing. So I wanted to shout that out. And then Scotty Barnes, I don't know. You know how I feel about Scotty. Everyone knows how I feel about Scotty. People are putting him in Franz conversations. He belongs in Pablo conversations. I'll leave it at that.
I just saw an interesting graph with him. I think it was like he was guarding the best player and he had the highest usage. It was that like the going up. What's the up part of the graph? Is that X or Y?
Y, because the Y is the longer letter.
The the Y was guarding the hardest matchup, and the X was usage, like offensive usage or whatever. And he was one of the guys who was juggling both. So
it's hilarious. The axes don't matter there. If he's top right, you could switch the axes and it'll be the same. Whatever. I don't think you're gonna take my other guy. I don't know if you'll take either of these guys, and the good player could make leaps. I will take a counterpoint to the Denny Avdia pick. I want Jalen Johnson from the Atlanta Hawks. He's a guy getting a lot of most improved player buzz next season.
You don't count on it, guys. It's a ridiculous award. You know who they'll probably give it to? Wemby.
I mean, maybe Wemby.
Well, my goal will deserve it.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm curious how you'll approach that. I'll be like, what if he was against Kobe White this year? And you'll be like, no, he deserves it, man. He's cool. Yeah. So Jalen Johnson. I mean, a lot of the shit you just said about Denny applies to him. He's definitely a worse jump shooter at this point.
Denny's way faster.
Well, Jalen Johnson's jumps way higher. I'll tell you that much, okay? I don't care about speed. It's a vertical game, baby. Yeah. 6'9" combo forward for the Hawks. The final 29 games of last season for Jalen Johnson, he averaged 17 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists with just 1.4 turnovers on 55% true shooting. But
he's a defensive player.
He was shooting 40% from 3 for the first half of the season. So if you take that and then you take
Trae Young was in the hospital bed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, he barely survived finger surgery. Jalen Johnson is fucking burying 3-pointers the whole time. It's sick. So, yeah, I think this one, if we're doing the could change their tune rating, I think a lot of people will wake up to Jalen Johnson next season just because of the lack of I mean, DeJounte Murray's touches just opened up for everybody. So while they did replace him with Dyson Daniels, I think those touches are going to Jalen Johnson and everyone else. And I think he'll be really good. It's not like the rookie. It's not like Riz Shea they brought in. is a guy who's just going to be on ball the whole time, taking shit away from him. I think he's in a very good position to succeed next season. And I think when you talk about these kinds of forwards, I saw people projecting that he could be at the level like Scotty and Paolo are at this season, that he could be at that next season. I think that's a little strong, but I don't think it's insane to say he could be like 80% of that. Like if he was 18, 10, and 5 next season on like league average, maybe a little bit below efficiency. Obviously, you want to see the jumper maintained for a whole year. I think that'd be really good for him.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't go into that upper tier, just because. So Scotty, it's tough because I feel like Jalen doesn't. He'll never have the scoring back that Paulo has or anything. Like I don't trust his ability really to score in the half court. I feel like
and I don't think he'll be the passer that Scotty is.
Yeah, Scotty's an incredible passer. He's much longer and I think just bigger. And he's taken some huge strides in terms of like bullying people in post ups and weaponizing his stride length and stuff like that. I just don't know if, and I do think he's like a transformational defensive player. Jalen Johnson's good, but I feel like he's a good wing defender. Scotty is kind of like,
again, if Jared Allen was backing him up, that'd be sick. Something like that.
But yeah, so I wouldn't project him. I wouldn't count on him ever getting into those combos, but I think he's going to be so good.
So what are you, 18, 10, and 5 next year on average efficiency? You think that's in the ballpark?
That's about what was he this year?
Let me see. Yap real quick.
I bet he was like, in my mind he's 17, but I don't know if that's reality or if that's Genju.
He was 16. If we're rounding up on everything, he was 16, 9 and round up. Hell yeah. 16, 9 and 4 on what true shooting is that? Advanced 58% true shooting. And again, that was back half of the year for the 55% true shooting stretch. He was like 32% from 3. It was really pretty rough. So yeah, the fact that he finished that, if he was pretty damn efficient for the first half of the year.
Yeah, he's great. I just think he's probably an advantage type creator, like drafting off of other people, because he doesn't have I doubted him coming out of college, which is wrong, but he doesn't have great burst and he doesn't have any kind of like jump shot. Like I don't know how he makes jump shots in the half court other than like catch and shoot threes. So that would be my hang up with him.
Yeah, he's not creating a ton of space off the dribble.
Yeah. He's powerful though.
Ball is in your court. So I got Trey, Jared Allen, Jalen Johnson. You're up.
Who do I have? I have Desmond. I have Denny. Is this my third pick?
Yeah. Do you want me to write yours down?
Yeah. Would you?
Okay.
I'm gonna go Alex Caruso.
Ooh.
And it's tough because this is a guy most people know is good because he had the Laker mania. Everyone went crazy for him. But with the amount of people on national TV who acted like the Josh Giddey trade was either reasonable or not a complete disaster, like even Bill Simmons and Russillo saying like they think the Bulls
they're on Giddey Island,
trade
man.
because Giddey, and like other people like, oh, this makes sense, like, or even just framing it as like, this is a talented young player and you're giving up an older guy, so this makes sense through that framework. Like, that is straight up blasphemous to Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso is every bit defensively that Drew Holiday and Derek White are. Like, he is absolutely monstrous. He will be one of the best defensive players I've ever watched. And he shot 40% from 3 this past year. He's a good passing decision maker. And yeah, he's just absolutely a guy who can start on championship teams, who can make a massive impact. And it's egregious that everyone didn't freak out. A lot of people freaked out. Not enough people freaked out for me. There should be 0% approval rate for this trade.
Yeah. I mean, there is on this page. There is. It is 0%
0 for
approval.
2.
I'm trying to pull up his corner 3 right now. Let me see this.
People will criticize his durability. Screw you. I'd rather have a healthy, dominant force or I'd rather have an injured dominant force than a healthy nothing. So
Yeah.
yeah, even outside of the context of Josh Giddey, like, yeah, there's very few defenders in the NBA. Guard defenders, like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who would be. You could argue Holiday, but then outside of that, like, I don't even know if Suggs is there yet.
I mean, yeah, that's like even when you stack him up against someone like Holiday or Suggs, and I don't know how tall he is off the top of my head. Let me see.
6'5".
He's listed at 6'5". He feels 6'5" when you watch him. He feels 6'6" when you like. He is fucking
He guards
huge.
bigs.
Yeah, like he is. Yeah, he's enormous, but he's every bit as quick and tenacious as Jalen Suggs is,
Yeah, the
and
motor is 100% all the time as well.
yeah. And so while you could, I mean, you could argue like if you're getting into those Holiday comps, obviously some of the offensive stuff is. I mean, Holiday was an all-star for how good he is offensively, but Caruso is still really, really competent on that end of the floor. And I don't know if he has necessarily gotten props for that just because Chicago has been a hellhole in terms of like what a situation for him succeeding really looks like. He shoots 41% on corner threes. I think he'll get a lot of those in Oklahoma City. I think his supplemental playmaking and his ability to like attack a little bit off catch and shoots. Like he's not going to fucking fall down immediately if he puts the ball on the floor.
And he could
Yeah,
dunk on some people.
Oh, he could. And him as like a backdoor cut lob threat. I think Chet is really well posed to take a step forward as a passer next year. Like he was forcing a lot of good reads this year that if he had seen them a couple beats earlier would have just been phenomenal passes, but like he saw them and the defender read it and they were turnovers this year. I think next year with a year of growth, he could capitalize on those a lot more. And Caruso is one of the guys who will be feeding off of those passes because when you talk about motor, off ball movement is a big part of that as well.
And it's very funky playing in Chicago, playing off of DeRozan, like in terms of the centerpiece of an offense, just a guy who's just doing mid post stuff. And so compare that to playing off of Shea or going back to his LeBron days when he wasn't a capable shooter really back then. But we're getting back to the limelight, baby. Alex Caruso is going to be, you know what, in-season tournament MVP. No, probably not, but he's good.
Shout out to Alex Caruso, baby. I want this guy. I'll take him. I don't think we're not at risk of you taking him, but I want him here. I want RJ Barrett with my what is this 5th pick? Hell yeah, Star J. Again, like Jared Allen, I've talked about RJ plenty on here. His last 30 games last season, 22, 6 and 4 on 62% true shooting 39% from 3 on 4 attempts per game. Oh my god.
Hey, like I talked about with Halliburton, you're up right now. You're up.
Hey, respect. And I respect
RJ stands are up. Hey.
It's so funny with Halliburton. It makes sense because you have this built-in opposition with like Trey is already kind of slipping from the acclaim that came with the New York run and everything. He's reeling backwards a little bit. Halliburton skyrockets forward, and it's like, what? That's just the shit that Trey's been doing for 3 years. Like Trey's already this good offensively, and nobody cares about him anymore. Blah blah blah. With RJ Barrett, there's none of that. Like it's just you being like, I don't believe in this guy.
It's me being mad that he took the ball from Zion 5 years ago in college.
Oh, that rocks, dude. Hell yeah. So yeah, he's been really good with the Raptors. Even if that 3, I mean, Knicks fans know the 3 for him has been extremely volatile. There was like back to back seasons where he would have 25 games where it looked really good, and then it would be so bad for the rest of the year that he finished at like 34%. So I don't know if that will maintain, but he was still a really good driver. He's still only 23 years old. He's still a phenomenal athlete. And I think being in Canada helped a lot. And so, I mean, I've talked about the Raptors as well. I think they have tools in place. They'll still tank next year, but I think we could see the vision start to develop a little bit more.
Knicks fans are also part of the problem here because they're just too big and annoying of a fan base, so they were throwing him places he shouldn't have been. Like, it was that draft was branded as the Zion Ja RJ draft, and it should have never been. They're like, it's a 3-man draft. And then they just held on to that. Like, even though he was not good, he didn't deserve. I would not have signed him to that huge extension. But like, and then by proxy of him getting that extension, like they're constantly throwing him into trades as like the centerpiece for superstar trades. And I'm like, I would not take that at all. And they're like, what do you mean? He's the 3rd overall pick. And then people always do just like the qualitative BS. Like, you could spin a narrative to make any player look good. And they're like, well, if Zion didn't go to Duke and take up all the attention, we would be looking at this guy way different. And remember, he beat Team USA in high school. He was the number 1 rated high school player for a reason, blah, blah, blah. So I feel like for his entire career up to this point, he hasn't been good. But now he's up. He's up.
Yeah. And I definitely think if that draft gets branded as like it's Ja, it's Zion, and then it's the rest of the people. If it's branded that way, and that is the expectation set for RJ Barrett coming into the league, I think he's probably received a little bit less critically. Obviously not by people in your camp, Mr. Fucking he shot a mid-range while Zion was wide open. But I think for most people, having that narrative set for them that it is these 3 guys at the top of the draft, and we don't like, obviously Zion looks the best, but you don't know exactly who's going to come out on top. Watching Ja and Zion just fucking take off and RJ just be 16 points per game with like some good contributions. Yeah, it feels like he is a bit of a bust, but if you frame it as like more reasonable expectations for him, then yeah, that's good contribution. So yeah, I'm high on RJ. I want him. I don't think you were going to take him, but I'm glad I picked him up.
Let's see. Who should I go next? I've got 3 guys left. You know what? I'll go Nikola Jokic. What?
Whoa!
Which guy?
Oh my god! The MVP?
No, Nikola rewind, uncensored. Nikola Jovic from the Miami Heat. He's huge. He's 6'10", and he shot 40% from 3 in the playoffs, and he shot well over the course of the regular season this year. He's coming along. He's showing some defensive jumps.
Straight up.
Traded for who?
He could have been traded for Dame straight up. They don't need to put a package around him.
Oh, the Dame package, yes. So it's one of the annoying times Miami fans were right. They weren't rational, but they ended up being right like a year later before he proved literally anything. Their predictions came true. So Jovic, that's the kind of guy I want on my team.
Yeah, respect. I don't have a ton of thoughts on him. He was not on my board, but
because you hate him, because you're a Jokic.
Yeah, there's only room for one Nikola Itch, baby, and it's mine. I don't want to hear bullshit about the 20-year-old. Oh, cool. Congratulations, dude. Miami's hot. No, I'm sure actually Jokic would probably love to play in Miami. That'd be the worst year of his career. He'd be fucking drunk and fat the entire time. But Jovic has a good work ethic, so he can avoid those vices.
I think he was hurt this year and didn't play for Serbia. So because he was there, he had like a walking boot on. I remember. So if they did he play?
I don't. No, he didn't play, or he might have. No, he was playing in the Olympics for Serbia. He was definitely playing in like the later, like the elimination game in that time. I don't
Mm,
know if he started playing for them.
all I remember is he had a walking boot on before. So Jovic, pre-injury Jovic on that Olympic team, they win gold. Yup.
Yeah.
Yup.
Um.
Yup.
Yup. Yup.
Yup.
I was gonna say when watching Miami obviously had like a tough postseason with the Jimmy Butler injury and everything, but it did feel like if they were a little bit healthier and if you get a year of experience and another year of weight training for Jovic, he'll fill in really nicely there. Because they were running him as like their biggest guy on the floor a lot of the time. And that with a 20-year-old who weighs, I mean, he probably weighs like maybe 200 pounds right now. He's pretty skinny. It's just a recipe. It's not a good recipe, but I think he could, if he fills in well, yeah, that role will be nice for him there. Uh, I'm at number 5. This, I want Vince Williams Jr. Was he on your list?
Yes, he's one
Yeah.
of the 3 I had left.
Shit. Yeah. Well, I mean, Vince Williams Jr. He is a regular on lists like this. The final 24 games last year for the Memphis Grizzlies, he was 15.6 rebounds, 5 assists on 62% true shooting. He shot 40% from 3 on just under 5 attempts the entire time. He was being a very, very, very good defender, taking on the opponent's best perimeter guy most of the time. And I feel like he was a big contributor to them. I mean, they were like 10th defensively, but when you talk about a team,
The Grizzlies were this past year?
I swear they were better than they should have been. Let me see. Memphis Grizzlies, blah blah blah.
They did some X-rays and they found a dog in his chest. I saw on the Grizzlies subreddit.
Holy shit, it's kind of crazy. They were 12th defensively.
That's insane.
Yeah, which I mean, Jaren Jackson Jr. played most of the year. Yeah, he played 66 games, and you still got 42 out of Bane. But again, for Jesus Christ, yeah, they rostered 33 guys. So for them to be that good defensively is just, it's very surprising. And so I don't know. Obviously, Bane is better. I don't know exactly what the rotation is going to look like heading into next season, but it's not like he's a guy that like demands the ball in his hands. He can go out there, shoot threes, play good defense, and be like a supplemental on-ball creator, passer. Like I don't think
he could
him
be
and
new Tony Allen.
Oh,
Better
first
Tony
team
Allen.
all defense. I think him and Bane could probably coexist. I don't think it'd be like the highest ceiling offensive lineups or anything, but when Ja needs a break, I think it'd definitely be possible. So yeah, Vince Williams Jr., give him. You're up.
Let's see. Got 2 guys left.
Better hope I don't take one, because then you're only gonna have 5 guys.
Burgers and fries.
Ooh, that sounds good.
So I'll go. It's tough. I'll go Patrick Williams. I'll do it.
Nice.
Were you gonna take him or no?
No, I mean he's not on my list. I just love that for you. You're getting the Bulls guy. Hell yeah! You get Caruso, then you get Patrick Williams. That rocks.
My other was Tari Eason.
Okay,
but Tari Eason, I feel like the Tari Eason pick is still more based off potential versus what we've seen.
Wait. You only have 5 guys. Aren't we doing 6 rounds? Or did
I
we
thought
say 5?
I think we said 5.
Oh, okay. Then fuck it. Yeah. I didn't have Tari Eason anyways, so you could have had him. But yeah.
But yeah, Tari Eason still has to find ways to contribute as a scorer. And so Patrick Williams, even if he doesn't get any better than he is right now, he does grade out as like one of the best on-ball defending wings in the NBA as far as like the LeBron basketball index metrics and stuff like that. And he's huge and he can offer a little bit of rim protection. I don't know if he's lived up to that end that was hyped coming out of college. I don't know if he's lived up to that. And then he shot 40% from three on low volume. So I think I don't even think people think he's a bust. I think he's straight up a guy people don't think about, probably because he misses so many games and he's on a mid team. But when he plays, this is like a guy that everyone would want on their team. And I think the contract we got him on is really good. So I just think he's I think he's like it's like Keegan Murray. He's like Keegan Murray without the volume threes. So he's
without being one of like the best shooting rookies in the history of basketball. He's like
Keegan
that
Murray
guy.
without confidence.
Oh, dude, that remind the contract point you just brought up. Vince Williams, do you know how much money he's making?
Oh, he's making like $2 million a year for like
yeah,
the next
it's
4 years.
3 years, $8 million total for his contract, which that is
nuts.
Like that is a Scottie Pippen robbery.
Would you rather have that or 25 or wait, no, 30 Jaylen Brown or no 30 Vince Williamses or 1 Jaylen Brown?
30 Vinces. I feel like that just really insulates your team from injury. If you like, as long as the front court is good to go and you still have like your star players, if you're just filling in the cracks with Vince Williams Jr.'s, like that's a really good team.
And that's really good chemistry.
All right. So that was your last guy. You had Tari Eason too. I had Grayson Allen, Simone Fontecchio, Grant Williams, and Karis LeVert left on my roster.
Wait, name them again?
Grayson Allen.
Oh, so good.
Simone Fontecchio.
Absolutely disgusting. Deport him back to Italy.
Whoa. I wrote down, I almost took Grant Williams just because like I feel like people hate him so fucking much. Like he's all right at best. He's not completely terrible. And then I wrote down Karis LeVert for the Cavs. I thought was really good this year. Even though like
the Karis wheel.
Yeah, his offense was his scoring was straight up bad. He was like 14 points on like 42, 32, 80 shooting splits. And usually you would be like, Karis LeVert, bad scoring, get him the fuck off the floor. He was locked in defensively. This was like a good defensive year from him. And he averaged 5 assists per game. So he was shockingly playable for that bad of a scoring season by his standards. And I liked it. I also ran this on Twitter. I wrote down, I have every player that got more than 2 votes here. So leading the Twitter poll, Trey got 15. Desmond Bain got 11. One player
really?
got.
Are those really the 2 highest?
Yeah.
That's funny. That's our 2 first picks.
Yeah, I know. I guess everybody knows. Maybe these guys aren't underrated. I don't know. The one person got 7 votes. It's a Western Conference shooting guard.
Western Conference shooting guard. They're not saying Devin Booker, are they?
Oh, no, they're not, but that's shockingly close.
Huh. Who's it's a Western Conference shooting guard? Who is it?
It's Devin Vassell.
Oh, another Devin Vassell. With the problem with Devin Vassell is it's a me thing. Because like he can't be underrated for me because I thought he would be so I thought he was the best college defender I've ever seen. So I'm like, yeah, the offense has come along, but he literally should be Draymond on the defensive end. So he can't be underrated. He's a disappointment for me a little bit.
Oh my God,
but yeah, I love it.
This guy's not underrated. I thought he was fucking incredible. I thought he was way better than everyone else did. So to me, he's overrated. Loser. All right. So yeah, Vassell got 7 votes. 4 players got 6 votes. We have Denny, Julius Randle, Jared Allen.
Who voted Julius Randle?
I mean, I don't have the votes in front of me.
Click the like and block everyone who did that.
Okay, I will do that. Somebody wrote down Luka Garza for 1 vote, and that actually did make me laugh. I was like, shut the fuck. They're like, he's 10 minutes a game on any other team if there's not 4 bigs in front of them.
Yup.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yup.
Yeah. So Jared Allen also got 6, and then friend of the program, Trey Murphy, got 6. So shout out to those guys. I don't feel like Trey is underrated. I feel like most people are really high on him. Most people who are comfortable with the idea of the Pelicans trading Brandon Ingram, which is a popular idea, want Trey to slot into that role more.
Not this one guy. This one guy hates him. There's this guy who commented on our YouTube video of this podcast like a little while ago, where we what were we talking about? We were talking about Trey Murphy, like compared to some other guys. We were rating him very high, and it was funny because the comment sounded like a guy who again doesn't know us, who somehow just found this and watched it. I don't know how. But he's like, these idiots think that Trey Murphy's good. He's just a catch and shoot guy or whatever. Like he doesn't compare to whoever. But I was like, oh geez, that's the first ever Trey Murphy hater. Cringe.
There's a couple comments like that. Once when I remember we were doing a young player ranking, and I put Cade over LaMelo. And someone wrote out like a fucking paragraph, and they just ended it with Cade fart sniffer joestar. And then there's another one we got forever ago that literally just says podcast sucks. That's the whole comment. That fucking killed me. All right,
guys just tuning in, hate it.
Hate it. God, I had to put it on 4x speed just to get it done faster. 3 players got 5 votes. Aaron Wiggins saved basketball. Nick Claxton, and then the third one. Oh my! This is Julius Randle. Cam Thomas.
Claxton. Cam Thomas. I think there's enough Cam Thomas love in the world. I think there's quite enough.
I mean, if we compare how much Jordan Poole love there is versus how much Cam Thomas love there is, and how much each player deserves, what amount of love I don't know, you know?
Jordan Poole, I think everyone has come around. Like, I feel like the perception of Jordan Poole is pretty accurate, but Cam Thomas is kind of the same guy, and people are like, but it's awesome when he does it.
To be fair, Cam Thomas was like, he scored more this year. So like, if we're comparing that type of guy, 2 of that type of guy, it's usually just going to be the guy who scores more. It's probably
who do you think is better between those 2?
I guess I'd probably go Cam, but I think Jordan Poole I feel like Jordan Poole is underrated as a passer. And that's not to say he's like a really, really good passer or anything. I just feel like the perception of him, the perception of him and Cam Thomas is like equivalent playmakers. Yeah, that is wrong.
Yeah, I think Jordan Poole's better just because what we saw him do in Golden State, Cam Thomas could never do. And yeah, he's got much more of a complimentary game. He's just not using it right now. Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna cook.
But hey, Wes Unseld Jr. is not the coach anymore. Lock the fuck in next season, everybody. We're winning 20 games.
Who is the coach right now? Is it Kiefer or something, or is that the GM?
I can't remember. Let me look it up. I know him by sight. He's a white guy. Brian Keefe. Yeah, good job.
Brian Keefe. Yeah.
All right.
And then, who's running the Wizards right now? Is it like a new group? Is it like 3 guys or something? I think they're idiots.
Will Dawkins took over on June 8th of 2023, but before that, it was 3 idiots. I think Michael Winger and co. But I know they took Wes Unseld Jr. and they didn't fire him. They moved him to a front office position.
Winger out.
4 players who got 4 votes. We have Donovan Mitchell, Herb Jones, Drew Holiday, Jalen Johnson, Franz, Shaedon
Drew
Sharp.
Holiday is disqualified from all underrated.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to hear it anymore. He's rated. He's rated. I promise. He's rated.
For many years, it was Mike Conley who was the most popular underrated player in the league. Now it's Drew. Get him out of our face.
Shaedon Sharp, Chris Middleton, and LeBron got 4 votes as well.
LeBron is kind of valid.
I don't know.
He's still so good.
Yeah, and a lot of people are like, he's old. I'm sick of this. And I'm like, appreciate greatness, bro. You
Well,
sick
I'm
fuck.
not appreciating it. I'm just noticing it.
I'm just noticing how long it's taking me to get material to hate on. Every night I'm like, give me something. And he drops fucking 38 and 8 on good efficiency. It's fucking
I'm
stupid.
noticing how long it's taking him to get his ass out the door.
And then players receiving 3 votes, we had Ivica Zubats, who that
Oh.
would not have been a bad pick. Colin Sexton, I feel
Oh,
like he's pretty rated.
he's a guy who the numbers look better than the experience is.
That's fair. Jonathan Isaac, I feel like he's like that's another Drew Holiday pick where it's
Hell yeah, real Patriots already know.
like we're here. He's good. We get it. Tyus Jones, yeah, I guess. Tyus Jones is
He's
like,
the annoying guy, underrated player. Like he's not fun. He's not that cool. So
well, it's not even that Tyus Jones is not cool. It's that if they're like, well, he's underrated, and I'm like, okay, well, what if like a team needed him to do more than he's doing right now? He can't. Like this
yeah,
is he can be like 10, 5, and 3 and shoot the ball pretty well and not do anything at like an insanely high level, but be a good backup point guard. And that's fair. That's fine. But if everybody talks about him like a solid backup point guard, I don't think that's being underrated.
he is a casualty of the dweebs. The guys, the far. I don't know if it's far right or far left. The far analytics spectrum in the NBA
We
because
should come up with that.
yeah, he was really high in RPM like 6 years ago or whatever, and so people were putting him in crazy places. But yeah, what if I said this? What if I said this? What if I said this? What if I
What?
said Trey Jones is better than Tyus Jones? What if I threw that out there? Huh?
I'd say put Tyus Jones next to Wembanyama. He'd probably look pretty good too.
Next
Yeah,
question.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Next question.
Aaron Gordon got 3 votes. I
He's
think
better
people.
than
I
Trey.
feel like he's rated. You know, he's good.
Aaron
People think.
Gordon, yeah, Aaron. It's caught up. Everyone knows.
Mm-hmm. And then Sabonis. Fuck no.
Overrated. What's the Fab Five? A bit. You know?
Pretty boy.
Yeah.
A bitch. Oh my god. All right. So that's how Twitter felt. And then I have 3 lobbyist requests. I mean, we're here. You want to do them?
Whoa.
Let me see. I got to timestamp this. We just did an hour of rated shit. All right. Lobbyist requests. Curry, number 1 point guard, says thoughts on the Steve Kerr discourse after USA won. As a Warriors fan, I do believe his rotations can be garbage, but the hate was overblown. It's shocking that guy feels that way. How do you feel?
Steve Kerr is one of the best coaches in NBA history, but he is a little stubborn. He does have some tendencies where it's like his refusal to run pick and roll can be an obstacle at some points, and the rotation stuff was weird. Like Tatum getting 0 minutes is weird. Halliburton getting 0 minutes, like that is kind of weird. I feel like that didn't happen with previous Team USA's, but Team USA basketball is just like summer league, where after it happens, out the memory. So who knows? I'm sure in 08, Darren Williams was probably getting 2 minutes or whatever. Or who else is on that team? Or usually
Tayshaun Prince.
Yeah, but it's maybe the problem is the past teams have always had guys like that who you're cool with them getting 0 minutes. Like, oh, Mason Plumlee is getting 0 minutes, shocker. But now that it's Tatum and Halliburton, it's like, oh. But and then yeah, he just has some weird hangups. Like the Moses Moody, not playing Moses Moody is weird. It took them way too long to figure out moving Klay Thompson to the bench, but I guess you could argue that that's a Klay issue or whatever.
I would, even if you want to say that's a Klay issue, figuring out that Kuminga is like good that's weird. Like the signs were all. If you want to say that, like Moody's good too, and it's weird that he's not playing him, which I agree with. But like Kuminga, every time Kuminga was in for a while, I know he like had defensive issues and stuff, but in terms of like taking the ball out of Steph's hands and having a guy who could do something with it, Kuminga showed that a lot. And Kerr was just like, I got to put Clay back in.
So yeah, ultimately, I think he's a historically significant coach in that he created this Steph Curry off-ball movement offense. That's one of the greatest ever. Like he maximized Steph Curry to the point where he's arguably the greatest offensive player ever. And then he is the mastermind behind a defense that was one of the top defenses for many years. Where he started switching everything. He empowered Draymond. No one else would have done that. Mark Jackson wasn't going to do that. So the highs are incredibly high, and then the lows are frustrating because you're like, what the heck, dude? What's going on here? So I wonder if we will see a Steve Kerr post Steph, and we'll see how inventive he gets, or if he'll just go out the door with him. Because remember, he has back issues. Remember years ago, he had like really bad back issues to the point where he's like,
Luke Walton. That's why Luke Walton like got a head coaching job, was because he got to be on the sidelines while the Warriors won 40 games en route to 73-9, and the Kings were like, we'll take you.
Remember that fraud, Chris Finch, showing up? Hey, do you think you could sit front row at an NBA game and coach right now? Well, not you with Chris Finch's brain.
Well, if I have Chris Finch's brain, I can't think. So, got him. Yeah. My only thoughts about Steve Kerr, I agree with everything. I would just say, specifically, the Serbia elimination game. Team USA cuts it to like 6, and Steve Kerr subs in 4 guys who have not scored the entire game. Like
so they're hungry.
All the momentum is with Team USA. And he's like, you know who's due? Fucking 1 for 8 Anthony Edwards or something. And yeah, he put in a full lineup of those guys, and the lead went back to like 13 points. And it just felt like that moment specifically, I understood the criticism because you just like, it was an inexcusable choice. I guess the format of like single elimination kind of exacerbates those flaws though, because there's no game to game adjustment at that point.
I love he's due. That's how my dad talks about baseball. he's like 0 for 15 in his last plate appearance. Like he's due. This is a home run.
He's due. Oh my God. Yeah. Tyler Merrick says, Sir fellas, I got a good one for you this week. Seeing as both of you are from the Midwest, growing up, what is the outside perspective of California? As somebody who is infected by the woke mind virus from living here, I'd love to know what the real hardworking states think of us. The kind of states that don't buy lattes and avocado toast so they can afford homes. The bootstrap states, if you will. How do you feel about California, Mr. Escobar?
You know what? People in California who complain about waking up for school, I remember thinking this when I was in high school. I was like, you guys don't get to complain. Like, oh my God, I have to wake up early. We all have to wake up early, but we're waking up in the dark, in the cold. You're waking up in sunshine, in 70 degrees. If it was 70 degrees, yeah. Well, in high school, I had no trouble waking up. I would have trouble now. But California, you have perfect weather. You're run by a slutty, corrupt governor, Gavin Newsom.
Who hates the homeless.
He hates the homeless. I'll tell you what. I am not into LA at all. I would never live in LA because it seems way too expensive, and it's urban hell. Like, gotta drive everywhere. And people always talk about the people. I'm sure the LA locals are cool, but everything about LA is not interesting to me. San Diego seems I've been there once on vacation. Again, some of the best weather in the world. That seems very cool. San Francisco seems very cool. Also, San Jose has some of the best weather in the world. So, purely through a climate lens, I would love to live in California, but does seem too expensive.
Yeah, it seems very expensive, obviously due to all of the liberal taxes they have going on there and everything. When I was growing up, my cousins lived in San Francisco, and they moved when I went there once or twice, and they had a pool in their backyard, and I was like, "This is fucking
Whoa, they're
sick."
rich.
Oh my god, this is literally Richie Rich. Yeah, I thought it was super cool, but I don't know. In terms of like viewing California as a haven for lazy liberals, people don't think about California that much, you know? In the Midwest,
Oh, my dad is in that pipeline where it's like it's hell.
it's hell. I mean, my parents, my whole family, none of them are like that. My dad, he might have voted for John McCain. I don't know, but like, I don't ever think, I
Hey,
don't
but
think he
he had
was.
respect.
Yeah, that's a war hero we're talking about.
I like now that was the most base thing Trump ever said. I like soldiers who don't get captured.
Oh my
That's so
god.
nuts.
Yeah, but my dad and my parents were definitely not like any blue state is hell and we shouldn't go there. So I never felt that way about it. I didn't really know that many people who did feel that way about it, but uh I guess I was raised as a liberal elite myself. You know, my mom's a teacher, so a lot of insights into political. I don't know, not being a fucking psycho conservative, I guess, is my overarching point there.
And I think we specifically are much more aware of how conservative California is than most people. Like, what is it like? What's the one area? Is it Huntington Beach? There's a lot of conservatives in
Oh
California.
yeah.
That's the home of Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, California is that's like one of the prime states for conservative posting screenshots of voting maps online and being like, how is this a blue state? Because
Because
most
it's
of it is,
rigged.
yeah, because it's rigged. Because there's a billion red acres and 10,000 blue acres, and that's a blue state. Okay, dude, fuck off.
I
So yeah,
also think you could get serial killed more in California. All the serial killers, it was prime serial killer territory in the 1970s. Like
yeah.
you could just kill someone in San Francisco and go down, start a new life in San Diego. No one ever know.
Yeah, that's the best part about like learning about it's not Jeffrey Dahmer. Who was like the killer that media always portrays as like very handsome and
Oh,
charming? Ted
Bundy.
Bundy.
Ted
Ted
Bundy.
Bundy. Yeah. The best part about learning about him is that like, oh wait, no, this might be the Zodiac killer. Yeah, there's a million killers going on in California, but whichever one it is, when they were investigating him, like 5 separate police precincts, like county police people, none of them were communicating at all for like 5 months. Like they were all trying to figure it out on their own, and they were like, ah, if only we could cover more ground, if only we had more clues and resources. And so yeah, California, definitely easy place to get killed back in the day. Josh Lerman says Shalom Pablo. Who do you think is the
Oh,
most Jewish NBA player?
Sabonis. He converted. And then probably Denny.
You know that pissed Denny off to hear that. Oh, Sabonis is more Jewish than what?
Because he chose it. He wasn't born into it.
Yeah.
So
Grandfather
God found him, not Jesus, because Jesus isn't canon in Judaism.
Really? Was he just some guy or what?
He's
Or
just
did he
some
not
guy.
even exist?
I think he's just some guy. And I see. I was raised Catholic, so I'm full of the Jesus hype. But Jews don't believe he's the Son of God.
Oh
And
my
then
god.
And then I think Muslims don't think he's the Son of God. They think he was a prophet, but they're like he's a guy. He's not the guy.
Yeah, there's plenty of prophets.
They're like he's Trae Young to them.
Oh, okay. He's good. He's 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 top 5 salvation, but
He's not Steve Nash.
oh, that rocks. You have a very unique in. You could do like first take style tearing down the accomplishments of Jesus Christ from like a Jewish perspective, and then you could make another video doing the Catholic perspective, being like, oh, I think you're hating too hard on this guy.
My dad was raised Jewish, and he talks about Jesus. He has no clue what was going on.
Oh, that rocks. Your dad, we got to get your dad on the pod, man.
No, I do not.
Get Pablo's dad in the ballmobile. Guys, come on, leave a comment down below. Get Pablo's dad in the ballmobile. All right. Well, I think if that happened, you would probably die, right?
That cannot happen.
Well, if you were dying, what would you need?
A big man to save my life. Big man from Spain. I've never been jealous of California, but I've been jealous of Spain.
Yeah, I've been jealous of Spain too, not because of the climate, because of the Gasol brothers. Pau Gasol, take it away.
Lay down a list of what is wrong